We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Tesam and Aleph Meseches Avodah Zara. This is Avodah Zarah Daf 29a. On the previous summit, the Gemara was going through various kinds of medical treatments, and the Gemara said that hot water is good for thorns in one's skin, and cold water is good l'chasponisa. It's good for facial wounds. V'chilufa, and if you do the reverse, sakanta, then it is dangerous. And the Gemara continues, Chalav, vinegar is good, l'sibore, that is good for bloodletting, umonine, and small fish letanisa is good for somebody who has just fasted, v'chilufa sakanta, and again the reverse is dangerous. And the Gemara continues, Tachli, eating cress, v'sibura, followed by bloodletting sakanta, that is dangerous. Ishta v'sibura sakanta, if somebody has a fever and undergoes bloodletting, that's dangerous. Koiv eina v'sabure sakanta, if somebody's eye is hurting and he undergoes bloodletting, that is dangerous. Sheni ledug dam, on the second day after eating fish, one can have his bloodlet. Sheni ledum dog, on the second day after bloodletting, one can eat fish. But shlishi lo, but if it's the third day in either direction, sakanta, that is dangerous. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Hamak is dumb, one who lets blood, lo yochal chagbash, he shouldn't eat. Chagbash is an acronym for the following items. Lo cholav, he shouldn't have milk, velo gavina, and not cheese, velo bitzolim, and not onions, velo shachalayim, and not cress. And im achal, if he ate one of these items, Amar Abaya says, Naisi riviyasa dechala, he should bring a quarter of a lug of vinegar, or riviyasa dechamra, and a quarter of a lug of wine, unar vivinu bahade hadadi, and mix them together, vinishte, and drink it. V'chim mefana, and if he defecates, lo mefana ela lemizracha shal ir, he should defecate towards the east of the city, mishum dekasha recha, because the smell is offensive. Rashi explains, lo yifna ela lemizracha shal ir, sharuach mizrachis eina chazaka, because the eastern wind is not strong, and therefore it's not going to carry the smell to the city. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, Malin unkali b'Shabbos, one may lift the unkali on Shabbos. My unkali, what is unkali? Amar Rabbi Abba says, is tumcha deliba, it's the edge of the ribs, sometimes that is misaligned, and it has to be lifted up. My asusa, what's the way to heal this? Maisi kamona karivya v'ninya v'agadna v'tzisri v'avadita. And Rashi explains, first, kamona karivya, you bring kamona karivya, ke'en kaf egrof, it's like an amount, it's like a fistful of kamona, which is cumin. Vininya is minta, that refers to mint. And agadna is asef marhu, it's a bitter kind of grass. And sisri is sadaria, which is sataria. And avarta is azov, that refers to hyssop. You take these things, and that heals the person. And the Gemara continues, laliba, for an ailment of the heart, like the one mentioned above. Again, the istumcha deliba, bechamra, then you take these things with wine. V'simonech, and the mnemonic to remember that is the pasuk v'yayin yasamach levavenosh, it mentions wine with the heart. Larucha, for an ailment of the wind. And Rashi explains larucha, that refers to l'shachefes, it refers to blisters. Shemachmas ruach, they come because of the wind. Yishta elu b'mayim, then you should drink this with water. That's what the Gemara says here. B'maya, you drink these things with water. V'simonech, and the mnemonic for that is v'ruach elukim merachefes al panei hamoyim. It has the word ruach and mayim in this pasuk. And finally, the Gemara says lechuda, for chuda. Rashi explains lechuda cholei isha yoledes umitztanenes ala mishbar. It's talking about a woman who's in labor. She should take these things b'shichra, with beer. V'simonech, and the mnemonic to remember that is v'chada al shechma, the pasuk of v'chada al shechma. Rashi says shechma do metevazu l'shichra. This word is similar to shichra, to beer, b'shtei osios, and two of the letters, and so that's how you remember again that for kuda you take it with beer. And the Gemara continues, Rav Acha b'rei de Rava shachik lehu lechulu b'hadei hadadi. Rav Acha, the son of Rava, he ground all these ingredients together. V'shaka le malei chamesh etzba'asei, and he took a handful. V'shasi le, and he drank it. Rav Ashi shachik kol chad v'chad lechudei. Rav Ashi ground each one of the ingredients independently. V'shakal malei etzba'y rabasi u'malei etzba'y zutrasei, and he took the amount between his big finger and his small finger. Amar Rav Papa said, Ano avdi l'chol hani, I did all of these things. V'lo itasoy, and I was not healed. Until a certain Arab said to me, I see kuzachara, bring a new jug, umalia maya, fill it with water, v'rami beit harvoda de duvsha, and put into it a ladle of honey, the tali la bekochve, that's hung, that is suspended between the stars, meaning you should add it at night, ulamachar ishti, and then drink it the next day. Avdi hachi, I did this, v'tasoy, and I was healed. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shisha Devarim Merapin Esachol Mecholio. There are 6 things that heal a sick person from his illness. Urifuasan Refu, and the healing is a good healing. V'yeluhain, and they are as follows: Kruv, cabbage, vitardin, and beets. Umeisisin Yaveshan, water in which dried chamomile is soaked. V'keva, and the stomach. V'heres, and the womb. V'yoseres Hakaved, and the lobe of the liver. V'yesh Omer Mafdagim Katanim, and some say even small fish. And not only that, small fish, they allow a person's body to grow and flourish. And the Brisa continues, there are 10 things that return an illness to a sick person. And his illness is even more difficult. And they are as follows: ha'ochel besar shor, one who eats the meat of an ox; shuman, if he eats fat; besar tzli, if he eats roasted meat; besar tziporim, if he eats the meat of birds; ubeitza tzeluya, roasted egg; v'shachlayim, and cress; v'tiglachas, and shaving is bad; umerchatz, and going to the bathhouse; ugvina v'kaved, and cheese and liver; v'yesh omer maf agozim, and some say even nuts; v'yesh omer maf kishuin, and some say even cucumbers. Tana Devei Rabbi Yishmael, was taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, Lama Nikra Shemon Kishuin, why are they called Kishuin? Mibnei she'en kashen l'chol gufo shel adam kecharavos, because they're difficult for a person's body like swords. And the Gemara continues at the 2 dots. The Mishnah said, "Ve'ein mistaprin mehen b'chol makom." You can't get haircuts from the Ovdei Kochavim, from the idol worshippers, in any place. And the Gemara says, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Yisrael hamistaper me'ovet Kochavim, if a Jew is getting a haircut from an idol worshipper, roe b'mare, he should watch in a mirror as he's getting the haircut. V'ovet Kochavim hamistaper mi Yisrael, and the idol worshipper, if he's getting a haircut from the Yisrael, from the Jewish barber, kevon shehigia livlo riso, once he gets to the area of the forelock, which is associated with Avoda Zara, so shomer es yado, from there he should remove his hand. He shouldn't cut that area because he shouldn't be grooming the part of the hair that's associated with Avoda Zara. And the Gemara says, Amar Mar, the master said, we just said above in the Brisa, Yisrael hamistaper me'ovet kochavim roe b'mar, that if a Jew is getting a haircut from an idol worshipper, he should watch in a mirror. The Gemara says, Hey Chidami, what exactly is the case? If it's in public, so lamali mara, so what do you need to have a mirror for? There are people around, it shouldn't be an issue of any danger. And if it's in a Rishus HaYachid, ki roa ma'hava, when he's watching in the mirror, what's that going to help? There's nobody around to protect him. And the Gemara says, Liolam Rishus HaYachid, really we're talking about in Rishus HaYachid, in a private domain. V'kevon di'ika mara, but since there's a mirror, mischazi ka'adam chashav, he looks like he's an important person, and therefore the Ovet Kochavim is not going to harm him. Rashi says, B'mara liros im mistaper yafa, he's looking in the mirror to see if it's a good haircut. B'umnas, if it's done professionally. V'savar ovet kochavim kevan dekapet ahachi, and therefore the idol worshipper will think, since he's so makvid about this, that he wants a good haircut, chashiv, he must be an important person, u'misyari lahargo, so he'll be afraid to kill him. And Rashi continues, Livloriso, when he gets to the forelock, Shu Megadel Avodas Kochavim, that's the part of the hair that is grown for the Avoda Zara. So Shomet Asiyadu Mikodim Lachen, Shlosha Etzbos L'chol Ruach Kedel Kamon. So he should remove himself from 3 fingers breadth away from that area in every direction, as the Gemara will say further on, Kedei Shelo Yeh Mesakna. That way he's not going to fix, he's not going to groom that part of the hair. And the Gemara continues, Rav Chana bar Bizna have a mistaper me'ovet kochavim b'shvili de Nahar Doi. Rav Chana bar Bizna was getting a haircut from an idol worshipper in the side streets of Nahar Doi. Amar Lei, the barber, said to Rav Chana bar Bizna, Chana Chana, yoi koach lezuga, Chana Chana, your neck is good for the razor, meaning to say that he was threatening him. Amar, so he said, Teisi li da'avri ad Rabbi Meir. He said, that really is appropriate that should happen to me, that I should be in danger because I'm transgressing the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said that I'm not allowed to get a haircut from an idol worshipper. The Gemara says, V'yad Rabbanan lo avar, but is he not transgressing the opinion of the Rabbanan? Eimor damar Rabbanan b'Rishus HaRabim. The Rabbanan say it's permitted only in Rishus HaRabim. B'Rishus HaYachid miyamar, did they say it was permitted in Rishus HaYachid? And so therefore, if Chana bar Bizna, who's doing it in the side streets, he's actually violating what the Rabbanan say as well. But the Gemara explains, V'hu savar, but he thought, meaning Rav Chana bar Bizna thought, Shvili de Nahar Doi, that in the side streets of Nahar Doi, Kevan de Shchichi Rabim, since there's a lot of people around, Ki Rishus HaRabim Damu, that has the same status as a Rishus HaRabim. And the Gemara continues at the 2 dots. We said above, V'yovet kochavim hamistaver mi Yisrael, an idol worshipper who's getting a haircut from a Jew. Kevan shehigia livlo riso, when the Jewish barber reaches the area of the forelock, shomet as yadu, he should remove his hand. He shouldn't cut that area, again, because it's associated with Avoda Zara. V'kamen, so the Gemara asks what distance. This is what Rashi mentioned before. Amar of Malkia, Amar of Avodah Barava. Of Malkia says that Avodah Barava says Shlosha etzbos l'chol ruach v'ruach. He should stop cutting when he reaches an area of 3 fingers breadths away from in all directions from the forelock. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Chanina, Bered Ravika, Rav Chanina, the son of Ravika, says, Shafud, Shafachos, Vegumos. These are three different statements that were made. There were 6 statements. Some were made by Rav Malkiyo, and some were made by Rav Malkiyo. And so he says, the statement with regards to Shvud, and Shvachos, and Gumos, those statements, Rav Malkiyo, they were said by Rav Malkiyo. And Beloris, that's our Gemara right here, Efer Mikle Ugavina. So those 3 cases, Rav Malkiyo, those were said by Rav Malkiyo. And again, that says our Gemara has over here, Amar Rav Malkiyo. It says Rav Malkiyo is the one that made the statement by Beloris. Amar Rav Papa says, Masnisinu Masnisa Rav Malkiyo. If it has to do with Mishnah or Braisa, that was said by Rav Malkiyo. Shmaitza, but if it's an independent teaching, Rav Malkiyo, that was said by Rav Malkiyo. V'simon, and the mnemonic to remember that is Masnisa Malkisa. You can remember it by saying that Masnisa Malkisa, the Braisa, is like royalty, and that's the idea of Rav Malkiyo. The Gemara says, Mai Beinayu, what's the difference between these 2 opinions? Again, whether you're going to be saying, like the first opinion, that Shvud, Shvachos, and Gumos is Rav Malkiyo, and Beloris, Sefer Mikla, and Gevina is Rav Malkiyo, or are you going to say that Masnisa is Rav Malkiyo? The Gemara says, Ika Beinayu Shvachos. The difference between the 2 opinions is the case of Shvachos. And Rashi explains, Shafud, the case of Shvud, Be'ein Sadin B'Meseches Beit, so that's found in Meseches Beya. Shafachos, the case of Shvachos, is B'Chsubas, B'Afalpi, that's found in Meseches Ksubas. And Gumos, the case of Gumos, B'Nida B'Basim, and that's found in Nida. Hani Tlosh Shmaita de Rav Malkiyo, Amrinu Mishmei de Rav Avodah Barava. These 3 sugyas, or these 3 halachas, were stated by Rav Malkiyo in the name of Rav Avodah Barava. And Beloris, the case of Beloris, Dehacha, that's our case right over here, the forelock. Efer Mikla is the Makos Perak Basra, that's in Makos, the last Perak. Lo Yitan Adam Efer Mikla al Gavi Makosum Im Neshaniris Kechsovas Kaka. It has to do over there. You shouldn't put Efer Mikla, you shouldn't put the ashes on his wound because it looks like a tattoo. Efer Mikla, Efer Hakira Shekoloi V'Sarif Ma'od V'Shachor V'Nira Kechsovas Kaka. The Efer Mikla again refers to these dark ashes. U Gavina Hacha B'Pirka. Gavina is over here in the Perak. Amar of Malki, Amar of Adbaravam, Emnesha Machlikin, Poneha B'Shuman Chazir. That's coming up. And Rashi continues the opinion of Rav Papa, Masnisinu Masnisa, if it has to do with a Mishnah or Braisa, meaning Hanach de Itmar Aperusha de Masnisinu Braisa, anything that was said on an explanation of a Mishnah or Braisa, Rav Malkiyo, that was Rav Malkiyo. V'Hanach de Itmar Shmaitza Be'ape Nafshaya, but if they were halacha said independently, V'lo Aperusha de Masnisa, and it wasn't to explain a Mishnah or Braisa, Rav Malkiyo, that was Rav Malkiyo. And Rashi continues, the Gemara then said that the mnemonic to remember Rav Papa is Masnisa Malkasa, again, that the Bryce is like the queen. Masnisa Malkasa, Hidemosvinan Minola Amora. It's like the queen because we can ask on it against an Amora. For Rav Malkia Shmo Domel, in Nekeva, Rav Malkia's name is similar to a Nekeva, to a female. That's the idea that it's like the queen. Mai Beinayu Bein Rav Papa Rav Chanina. Now, what's the difference between Rav Papa and Rav Chanina? Ika Beinayu Shafachos. The difference is the case of the Shvachos. To Uki Rav Chanina ke Rav Malkio, because Rav Chanina, he says that the case of Shvachos, he said Shvud, Shvachos, Vegumos is Rav Malkio. So Rav Chanina said that case was Rav Malkio. For Rav Papa, Rav Malkio, but Rav Papa who says that Masnisan and Masnisa go like Rav Malkio, so Shvachos is Masnisan or Masnisa. Uma'ayel Efer Mikla Rav Malkio, and then he's going to say that Efer Mikla is like Rav Malkio. The Hanach Tlos, Shvud, Ve'efer Mikla, Vegumos, Shmaitaninu, because the 3 cases of Shvud, Efer Mikla, and Gumos are all independent sugyas. V'lo Masnisa Kaima, they're not going on Mishnayos or Brises. But Rashi continues, Avol Shvachos, but the case of Shvachos, Summer of Malkia, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer, there Rav Malkia is going on Rabbi Eliezer of the Mishnah, saying the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, Damar ben Mishnah Seinu, Afilu Echniso Lo, Meya Shvachos Kofa Lasos Betzemer, and Bloris Dahacha, the case of Bloris over here, Aperusha de Masnisa Koi, to Katani Leel Shomet Asyado. Again, we said earlier in the Braisa, by Bloris Shomet Asyado, Vyasiu Lefrushe Shiura, he's explaining the amount, the shear, the Chain Gavina, and also when it comes to the case of the Gavina, the Katani Masnisan, that it says in the Mishnah over there, Elu Devarim Hoasurim, the following things are forbidden, Amrinan, so we say, Mipnei Ma Osru Gavinos, Ha'ovde Kochavim, why is it that the cheeses of Ovde Kochav Mar Osur, Uperish Rav Malkia, and then Rav Malkia gives the explanation. Now, the reason why the Gemara over here says that the difference between the 2 explanations is the case of Shvachos, it doesn't say Shvachos and Efer Mikla, because essentially those 2 are swapped. Amil say de Rav Malkia de Isnach be Rav Papa Simen Nakat. It's because we are focusing specifically on Rav Malkia, because that's where Rav Papa had a mnemonic, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chavtes Amud Beis.